Yes, a couple days ago I committed the unforgivable sin of being a trans person who dyed my undercut an unnatural color. Howdy y'all, I'm Mickey, and as I just said, I tried to dye my own hair a couple days ago. It is actually blue. I don't know how it's showing up on the camera right now. It's dark blue. You can see it more in like natural light. It looks blue when I go outside, but inside it kind of just looks black, which is fine. That's what I wanted. I dyed my hair on Sunday, which is the Trans Day of Visibility, and dyeing my hair on that specific day caused me to think a bit about the trans people who have gotten rather visible, particularly on YouTube, and what they think about the trans folks like me who have weirdly dyed undercuts. Because to them, a weirdly dyed undercut is one of the first signs of a dreaded transtrender. And so, because I have weird colored hair now, and I like the color pink, I figured maybe I should see if I'm a transtrender. And how better to do that by checking out Trender Bingo. I did actually find a couple transtrender bingo cards online made by TrueScum, and I'm gonna go through block by block and see if I get any bingos. The first one here is just titled Transtrender Bingo, so let's see. The first square is blue, pink, purple, or green hair. Yeah, it's blue. Got that one. Sexual preferences are transphobic, in quotation marks. They're really out here quoting TERF talking points. I do not believe that that statement is in good faith. But also, I have never said that statement before, so I don't get the point. I'll get a Underworks binder to be hardcore. No, I got GC2B because I heard better things about them than Underworks. And also not to be hardcore, but to bind. What do they mean hardcore? I smell a TrueScum. Has anyone said that? Probably. I tend to say I spot one, so I guess the slight variation in wording means I don't get the point. Major in gender studies. Does it count if my minor is in gender studies? My major is social sciences, and you have to do 3 minors to get that, and one of them is gender studies, and the other is diversity and social inequality. So I should definitely get the point. I'm giving it to myself. Trigger warning for non-binary erasure. I probably wouldn't call it a trigger warning, but yes, I would note if something had non-binary erasure in it. So, point. There's no such thing as a transtrender, everyone is valid. There's no such thing as a transtrender, everyone is valid. Anime profile picture. Nope, my profile picture is me. All cis-passing trans people are transphobic. Has anyone ever said that before? Has anyone ever actually said that before? Because I have never heard that. I'm genuinely curious to know if that has ever been said by someone who was not a troll. Happily post daily binder selfies plus filter plus you don't need dysphoria to be trans lovelies, heart. What would be wrong with someone posting a picture in their binder? I mean, if they're wearing it, then they can just post pictures of themselves. I'm not gonna limit what pictures people post. Why is the filter specified? Why is this person apparently using the same caption every single day? There are a lot of things I don't understand about this box, but it also does not apply to me. I don't get the box. Wait, I've got to get into character here. Did you just assume my gender? No trans person has ever said that seriously. It's a joke that started to make fun of trans people, and now apparently TrueScum think it's funny too. Someone being upset on the internet because their pronouns are in their bio and you couldn't put in the least amount of effort to go check doesn't mean they're flipping out over nothing. Shut up. You don't need dysphoria to be trans, in quotation marks. Again, it's the second time they did this phrase in the blocks. Also, you don't need dysphoria to be trans. You only need gender incongruence. So, yeah, that one applies to me. The middle block just says Matt screaming, and I know Matt is the friend of the person who made this bingo card. So, keep screaming, Matt. The gender police are here to get me. The next block says, down with the cis, written in Gamzee's font for some reason. Also, person who made this card, it's just down with cis. There's no the. And if you don't know the meme and what post that phrase is from, you definitely don't have a place to be making fun of people who make fun of that post. Also, down with cis, point for me. This block just says star gender. What a weird identity to just specify. And yet, true scum do it all the time. If you're cis, don't talk to me. Where's that little card that says, I don't want to see or be seen by straight people? Redo it. I don't want to see or be seen by cis people. Give me the point. Gender identity is on Tumblr post and nowhere else. I'm pretty sure my gender identity came about before Tumblr, so I don't get this one. I actually went and looked it up to make sure that I was right there, and yes, I was right. The word agender was coined in 2000, the year I was born, and Tumblr was founded in 2007, so my gender identity does predate Tumblr. Not to say that Tumblr identities are somehow completely void of any use because they were made on Tumblr, just that box does not apply to me. Someone tag an admin/mod. I assume this is supposed to be about people who run blogs together, like help blogs or advice blogs or whatever. I don't run one of those. I tried once and we failed like 2 days in, so I don't do that. Dog filter in profile picture. I don't use the dog filter very often at all. The most common one I use is the little fall one where it gives you the circle glasses and the freckles and then there's fall leaves everywhere. That's pretty much the only filter I use. A lot of Snapchat filters are very feminizing. Not a fan. Other kin deserve to be included in the trans community. Again, who has said this? Mostly people who talk about other kin in a non-horrible way will say that it's a different thing than trans. Other kin and trans are not the same thing and are not in the same community. I know I'm wearing makeup and a dress, but do I look past for a genderless boy? Again, no one says this. A lot of the points on this bingo card just seem to be someone who sat down and had a vague idea of maybe what they were writing about or trying to be putting in a bingo card and kind of just made things up and then just put them on. Someone saying that even though they're wearing makeup and a dress, they're still a boy, doesn't mean they're asking if they pass as one. It just means that they're saying those things don't determine your identity. Makeup and clothes do not determine the legitimacy of your gender. This block just says ooh. Oh man. I drive my friends up the wall with the hello talk. That's just our whole group chat is just me singing all of You'll Be Back with a hello translator. Yeah, that one is definitely me. Small boy. I don't know why they put the O as a 0, but only one O, and then the others not. Also, Me. Big mood. Alternative passing trans men that wear makeup are transphobic for appropriating trans women. No one has ever said that. The last block on this card, which just says internalized transphobia in quotation marks. I'm assuming the person who made this card is referring to the fact that a lot of anti-true scum will argue that true scum seem like they are coming from a place of internalized transphobia, and because of their own insecurity with themselves and their identity, they lash out at others and try to delegitimize other people's identities to try and feel more assured and comfortable and secure in their own identity, which is internalized transphobia, and is also a place that a lot of true scum come from. So, point for me. That's the end of that first card. Here is my version of it, all filled out. I did not get a bingo, and I have more boxes unmarked than I do marked, so I guess according to the first TRANSTRENDER bingo card, I am not a trender. Let's double check that with a second card. This one is called the Too Cute /TRANSTRENDER bingo. And I am warning you right now before we get into it, it is horribly offensive. It seems like the guy who was going through and making it was trying to mark off his own bigot bingo card, hitting up ableism, racism, awful, just, it's not good. But I do want to talk about some of the points on it, and I want to see if I would be a trender bingo according to him. The first box isn't so bad. It says, wears only the biggest, ugliest glasses they can find. Which, yes I do. They're not particularly an awful shape. There are like octagon glasses, but I don't like wireframe ones, so I just stick for the biggest plastic frame glasses I can get with my prescription. Dyed hair and or facial piercings. Well, I got the dyed hair down. Vapid expression with tongue sticking out in selfies. I think I've done this card before. I think I did it on my Instagram story a couple months ago, and I made sure to take a selfie doing that to mark it off. But no, I don't tend to use that expression in selfies, though I do know which one it's referring to. Non-dysphoric. No, I am. Neo-pronouns, including they and it. What world does this guy live in that they and it are new pronouns? Neo just means new. They and it are not neo-pronouns by any stretch of the imagination. Still, he specified that those were included, so I gotta check the box off. Displays symptoms of body dysmorphic disorder. It's weird how many true scum will try and armchair diagnose you with dysmorphia if you say you are dysphoric, but you're dysphoric in a way that they don't like. I'm not. I don't have that. Also, trans people can have dysphoria and dysmorphia. Those are not mutually exclusive. He, him, lesbian. As I just said, I use they, them, so no, this is not me. Non-binary / agender / transmasculine or other mogai identity. This is similar to the neo-pronoun thing and something else that comes up later in the card. If you're using mogai to refer to Tumblr identities, say, because the whole thing just means marginalized orientations, gender identities, and intersex. So, everything in the LGBTQ+ community would be a mogai identity. I'm going to assume that the maker of this card is using it to refer to new identities that have been coined on probably Tumblr. Those three that were just listed, I don't think any of them were coined on Tumblr. As I said before, agender definitely comes from before. I believe non-binary did as well, and transmasculine has probably been used for a while. Just those three that were listed are not mogai identities. But still, I am agender and non-binary, so, boop. has queer in URL and or profile description. 1, if you can't say the word queer and you don't feel comfortable typing it out, you probably shouldn't be talking about other people using it. 2, queer has been reclaimed for decades, probably longer than you have been alive, creator of this bingo card. 3, how is using queer a signifier that somebody is faking their identity? I have a video that I did about the people who believe that if you call yourself queer, it means you're cishet. It's somehow indicative of you trying to force your way into the community. But gay people have been calling themselves queer for a while. And so have trans people. Also, I'm here, I'm queer, and you can die mad about it. Joins True Scum community for attention and acceptance. If True Scum hate us, why would we join their community for attention? I don't understand what this block is trying to say, but also, I wouldn't touch that community with a 20-foot pole, so that definitely does not apply to me. Here's the other block I was talking about mogai being involved with. Asexual, pansexual, or other mogai sexuality. Asexual and pansexual were both coined before Tumblr was invented. Those two identities are not mogai or Tumblr identities, but I am ace. Post-porn and FTM tag despite claims of suffering from dysphoria. How little of trans history do you have to know not to know the connection between trans people and sex work that was present and still is present today? Trans people have been involved in sex work, again, probably longer than you've been alive. Are you going to claim that every trans person involved in that is a trender? Are you going to claim that trans people who have sex are trenders? Because obviously if you're dysphoric, you can't do that. What's the point there? Trans people can be dysphoric and still post photos and or videos of their bodies. And that does not determine whether or not they actually are trans. That said, I don't personally do that. Also, I'm not a trans guy. Invades trans spaces with a little ooh-woo emoticon. I'm taking the point because I'm gonna invade all the trans spaces that accept me no problem in real life. Yeah, they don't have an issue with it. Uses binary terms despite self-identifying as non-binary. I love the self-identifying. This is probably one of the true scum who will talk about self-diagnosed dysphoria, as if you would not be able to recognize those feelings in yourself. You have to go to a doctor and have your doctor tell you that you're dysphoric to be a real certified trans person. If you haven't been diagnosed, you're just self-identifying and they don't believe you. I'm gonna have to take the point for this one because there are not enough neutral terms to accurately describe yourself if you fall out of the gender binary. There are just too many gendered terms to completely escape that. So yeah, I use binary terms. Makes no attempt to pass whatsoever. Should I even try to get into how the whole concept of trans people have to try to pass is a whole cisnormative concept, and it's not great to believe that trans people's whole life should be dedicated towards trying to look as cis as possible, and that not all trans people desire that, and it's not possible for all trans people, and things can get in the way, including your own feelings, which make you not want to look the same way a cis person does because you want to look like yourself. I'm not going to delve further into that, but I am going to state there is no possible way to pass as non-binary because people are going to gender you, so I get the point. Age regressor, multiple system, or some other weird thing. I don't swear. YouTube, I don't even make money, but don't censor my video. Nice ableism, bud. Age regressing is a symptom of trauma in people. It's something that comes about generally after you've been traumatized. Multiple systems as well. Don't throw DID people under the bus, but also DID forms as a result of trauma. again, this box is basically just the person who made this hates traumatized people. But don't worry, dude. The feeling's mutual. Thinks hormones and or surgery will make them look androgynous. I don't know, man. Chandler Wilson's 2 years on T, and they're pretty androgynous. They're not the only person I've seen to have pursued hormones or surgery and has managed to look rather androgynous. And I do know for a fact, if I had a flat chest, I would look more androgynous than I do now. That's a fact. Surgery would actually make me look more androgynous than I do now. So we're gonna cross out thinks, make it no, and give me the point. At least one kin type. Bonus if fiction kin. I don't know how you would get a bonus on bingo. Do you just mark a random square? Is that how you get the free space? We've been lied to all along. Anyway, no, I'm not a kinny. Icon is a pride slash mogai flag with anime slash furry slash cartoon character slash game character. Can I get half of a point if my icon is me with pride flags on my face and my hat? Apparently we can get bonus points in bingo. Does that mean I can get a half point? I'm gonna give myself a little half sticker there, because as far as I know, I am not a fictional character. Trender name like Aiden or Xander or anything from anime or other fandom. One, I have never heard Xander be thrown out as a trender name. I knew about Aiden. I've never heard of Xander being used as one. Is that known as a trender name? I love that name. Also, like, Mickey Mouse is a thing. Do I get the point because Disney's one of the biggest fandoms and Mickey's in it? Probably not. I didn't name myself after the Disney character. That's just my name. Dang, bingo creator, back at it again with the ableism. This block says neuroatypical and or disabled. Bonus if self-diagnosed. Why would being mentally ill determine whether or not you're really trans? Trans people can be mentally ill. It especially doesn't make sense to me because a lot of true scum think being trans is a mental illness. They think you have to have dysphoria, which is a mental illness, to be trans. You have to have both. So they believe all trans people are neuroatypical. So every single trans person, including the ones that this guy would think are actually trans, would have to mark that block. But again, being neuroatypical does not... How is that associated with being a trender? Also, how do you get bonus points in bingo? I was self-diagnosed with anxiety the first time I did this thing a few months ago, but I went to the doctor and it turns out I was right because I know things about myself and got professionally diagnosed, so I only get the normal point. Patreon, Coffee, or PayPal donation link. Real trans people don't need money. We're gonna ignore the fact of how many trans people have Kickstarters for their surgeries because that stuff is really expensive and these people actually would be considered trans by this guy. No, we're just gonna act like only trenders need money. Only trenders are being affected by our horrible economy that is going to shambles. Only trenders need money. That being said, I do not have any of those things myself, so I don't get to mark it. Glorifies bigoted cultural labels like Two-Spirit and Hijra? I'm very sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Also, I really don't like that block because there's a very, 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 very good chance the guy who created this list is white and has decided that white Western culture is the peak of humanity and anything that falls outside of that is wrong for some reason, and I do not want to personally get into that because I'm also white and I'm not Native American or Indian, and I don't want to speak on those identities or labels. Mostly I just want to tell this guy to just shut up. But we're almost done. Uses the white stripe as evidence for third genders while ignoring the fact that intersex people are not trans. What that one is referring to, if you didn't know, is that the creator of the trans flag said that the white stripe is for intersex people, people who are transitioning, and people whose genders fall outside of the binary. Again, I don't want to get too into this because I am not intersex. I'm not quite educated enough to start talking about why they should not actually be included in the white stripe, or why the white stripe shouldn't actually refer to any of this stuff. I just want to say that the creator of the flag did explicitly say that the white stripe and the flag as a whole includes non-binary people as being trans, and the definition of trans, which is identifying as a gender that differs from your gender assigned at birth, includes being non-binary. And yeah, non-binary people are trans, and if you don't like it, get yourself a new flag, I guess. And the last block on this lovely card thinks trans meds are transphobic and lumps them in with TERFs. True Scum are transphobic. The whole concept of going and policing other trans people's identities and telling them that they're not actually trans and you are the only real trans person and the real authority on trans people is transphobic. Also, I would be a lot more likely to argue for you not being lumped in with TERFs if the last guy's card had not explicitly quoted a TERF talking point. Also, there's an increasing number of True Scum who will have their bio, which will say True Scum or Trans Med, Rad Leaning, or Rad Ally. I don't trust like that. We are not the ones lumping y'all with TERFs when stuff like that is happening. And that's it for that card. Here's it filled out with my little things marked off. I still didn't get a bingo. I guess, according to the bingo cards, I'm not a trender. But I do have one more thing just to make sure.